the leader of opposition in the August House. Yes, a very good morning, Mr. Matthias Mpuga. We are an inclusive morning show. We do not take sides. We are very non-partisan. If you have an issue that is plaguing this country and you want to air it out, please come to Morning at NTV. We shall not shun you. Yes, we are a very non-partisan news organization. And into that effect, let's get into another partner conversation. The COVID-19 pandemic, it's still rearing its very, very ugly head. 64,521 cases have been registered in this jurisdiction of ours. 459 people have succumbed on the international scene. Like I did mention, 3,815,000 people have actually succumbed. So please do not write off this pandemic. Before you listen to the Chapati guy who is saying the COVID-19 disease is a hoax, ask him, what site did he read that information? Just ask him. Was it the Daily Monitor? If it's not the Daily Monitor, please do not listen. If that person doesn't have a smartphone and they did not go to www.nationmedia.com/UG and gotten that information from there, it is not verified. Don't listen to the Chapati guy. Don't listen to the border skeptic who is saying the COVID-19 disease, it is a hoax. Because for us, we do know it is pretty much still rearing its very ugly head. On the international scene, you can really see that cases are rising exponentially. 176,415,000 plus cases of COVID-19 on the international scene. The US is taking 33.6 million. You have India with 29.6 million. And finally, Brazil with 17.5 million. So we are pretty much in a very bad situation. Uganda is now experiencing a second wave of the COVID-19 pandemic. We've now instituted an inter-district travel ban. Who's going to be the most affected? Your guess is as good as mine. The people within the agricultural sector, the farmers, the business people, the people who would trek on a daily basis from Bombo to Kampala, they can't do it anymore. The farmer who would actually take their merchandise from Mitiana all the way to Gulu district, they can't do it anymore, and vice versa. But then we do have Emmanuel Chisembo, a businessman and also the Executive Director of Health, Uwachi Uganda. He also contested for the Central Executive Committee position, Western Uganda. He failed, but that's not an issue. He also contested for Buyaga as an MP. Buyaga East as an MP, and he still failed, but that's not an issue. He's here as the Executive Director, Health Watch Uganda, to talk about how the lockdown is affecting farmers and other business-minded people. Very good morning, Mr. Chisembo Emmanuel.
Yeah, good morning.
All right. Let us in on how this second lockdown is affecting you as a businessman.
Yeah, first and foremost, I would like to request you maybe I remove my mask.
Please, indeed, social distancing has been observed, more than 3 meters. Please go ahead.
Yeah, actually, what I have to actually tell our people of Uganda, that we need to stand up and actually follow the directives of the President and the Minister of Health.
Indeed.
Before, COVID-19 or coronavirus has been an issue of politics. It has not been taken much serious. Other people thought maybe President Museveni and the NRM government need another term, and they are trying to suffocate the other party who may want to actually come up. But now it is very, very clear that COVID-19 is here, and the way I'm seeing it is here to stay. We need only now to see how can we cope up.
And of course, you mentioned it. Do you think that some misinformation is the reason as to why we are dealing with this exponential rise in COVID-19 cases? The fact that many had alluded that these restrictions were being put in place to frustrate other political organizations, hence expounding on the laxity that we saw from members of the public who are saying, no, this is politics. No, we don't need a face mask. They just want the other side not to expedite activities that will go a long way in wooing voters from the other side. So that misinformation, do you think it largely contributed to what we are seeing right now, that it was simply politics?
No, actually, I don't need Ugandans to think it is politics. As you look at the whole world, actually President Museveni is among those leaders who have come up, and actually the few leaders that we have worldwide who have tried to fight this pandemic. And we have seen, however, we have now a second wave.
Yes.
But Uganda is not all that badly off. But it does not make us think that we are somewhere. We only need to improve, pull the stockings, try to fight this pandemic.
Actually, things are getting worse, Mr. Chisembo. The last time I was here, we had 402 deaths. Now we have 459 deaths.
Yeah, they are most
the last
likely.
time I was here, we had 62,000 infections.
They are
Now we
most
have
likely.
64,000.
They are most likely to rise simply because you have seen there was that short notice.
I see.
Short notice of the presidential directives that from tomorrow I have given you 2 days, institutions should close, everyone should stay home. So most of the people have now gone back to the village. Now,
exporting the virus.
Yes,
to the
they have
village.
now taken it because other people think that Kampala is a hot spot, Wakiso is a hot spot, Mukono. So people tried now to flee to the villages. Now we don't know what is going to come in a few days. Look at the bus park, in the tax parks. We have been seeing huge numbers of students who want to travel back to the village, and of course they were stranded, they were overcrowded, and there was nothing like to do with the practicing SOPs.
It was desperation.
So we don't know what is going to happen. As the government, there is no capacity maybe to quarantine these people for some time and know maybe how are they. But what I have to advise our people,
yes, December.
They only need now to come up to know how we can deal with this pandemic, because countries like USA, they have now known that it is there.
33.6 million.
Yes, it is there. So even Ugandans, we need now to come up and know how to deal with it. A lockdown may not be the best solution. This is just a temporary measure. It is a temporary measure, and after 42 days, the country needs to be opened, because people, they are not going to be actually suffocated. So many people are dying. You are looking at COVID-19, but we have other complications like diabetes, like cancer, HIV, pregnant mothers. They cannot access their basics.
And they're dying because our focus now is on
Yes,
COVID-19.
our focus is now on COVID-19, but they do not know that even HIV is claiming people, cancer is claiming people, diabetes is claiming people, even malaria, by the way. Malaria is claiming a lot of people.
Actually, cancer patients came out on Monday and they sounded a warning. They were actually saying they do not have access to their drugs, and it's going to increase their
Absolutely.
cancer.
When you look at our health care systems in Uganda, they are overwhelmed. They are overwhelmed in Mulago and the other regional referral hospitals. They are huge numbers. Remember now, there is that kind of scare amongst the population. Everyone wants to ascertain how I am, in that kind of movement.
You've largely acquainted us about, how the COVID-19 pandemic is affecting other people. All right, but we want to know how Emmanuel Chisembo, the ED of Health Watch Uganda, has grappled under this pandemic. How has it affected you as an individual?
Yeah, first of all, as the Executive Director of Health Watch Uganda, Bunyoro Kitara Youth Initiative for Development, I myself have been locked down. I cannot move. Remember, there is that ban of inter-district ban. That is our focus. Yes, you are unable now to move. You are only in your home. You cannot move. You cannot supervise your businesses. And of course, there is a lot of problem, because now people who are supposed to actually give us some income, like you know very well, Uganda is agriculture. It is agriculture, and if agriculture has been tampered with, then the whole population of Uganda is in danger. Remember that a farmer cannot move freely. Even someone who intends to go and buy cannot move freely. Remember, in agriculture there are so many goods. There are other perishable goods which cannot sustain, they cannot take long. They are fragile, like these fruits. They are very, very fragile. So there is that reduction of actually clients, people who are going to villages. Village markets have been closed up. So the whole issue, we are now in a dilemma as a country. We are now in a dilemma as a country, but what I have to appeal to our government or President Museveni, a lockdown is not an answer to this. We need now to come out and sound drums, sound drums, sensitize people, because as far as I know, that people, they do not know this pandemic. They don't know.
Emmanuel, here's a pertinent question. The politicians who make these decisions, do you think they are listening to their voters?
Absolutely no. Because if you listen to your voters, I think even before you pass these guidelines, you need first to hear from them. You get back to them. Right now, you cannot lock down a voter who cannot even raise 50,000 a month. He has nothing to eat. He's in the house. He has a family. He's used to day-to-day living. I go outside there. If I get something, maybe I get like 5,000. I get back. I buy something. So you find that really the common man in Uganda is now suffering. The common man is now suffering. So I would like to appeal to these people who come up with these guidelines, advising the president.
Indeed.
They need to look at the common man, because the common man is the one suffering in this kind of arrangement. But if there is another way on how we can cope up with this COVID-19.
Indeed. Emmanuel, you're talking about the common man suffering, but we want to know, how are people actually coping during this pandemic without relief? Largely, there is no relief. Stimulus
before
package.
you get to this pandemic, there is a previous pandemic. We had a lockdown, a total lockdown.
So some are still grappling with
Yes,
the
we
first
have.
lockdown.
There are several questions that are not yet answered up to now. Remember that we were promised to have radio sets. That could really help in sensitization, information reaching the final consumer. And I'm very sure that many people, they do not know about COVID-19. Why? Few families can afford to buy a radio set of 50,000.
All right, before I let you go, Emmanuel Chisembo, will this inter-district travel ban kill the agriculture sector?
Yeah, automatically, when there is no buying and selling, agriculture is basically buying and selling. Right now,
But remember, cargo trucks can still move.
Yes, cargo
Meaning
trucks.
I could stay in Gulu and still send this cargo truck of the goods to Kampala.
Yes, cargo trucks are moving. But remember, few Ugandans can afford to do what? To actually buy.
Or hire.
Hire or buy. You find that a cargo truck is actually being used by over 50 Ugandans.
Understood.
Yes. So if you don't go on the ground, actually you are looking at profit, maximizing what? Profits. So you find that people are scared away. They no longer want to release their money. Remember, these people have gotten this money from village saving groups, this microfinance. That is the only money that person has. So he or she feels to go to the ground and participate, other than sending maybe a cargo truck whom you don't even trust. At this time, a person can even flee.
Indeed.
Yes,
With your
money.
merchandise.
Yes. Yeah.
Emmanuel Chisembo is Executive Director, Health Watch Uganda. Many thanks for having made the time to speak to Morning at NTV about how farmers and other business people are grappling under this inter-district travel ban. Thank you.